Hi friends, I'm Priyanka from the Goa Therapy, and this place is called the Diwar Island, which is a really beautiful island on the bank of the river Mandvi, and it's an abode for really interesting and fascinating people and fascinating cultures. And one can take a ferry to reach here. If one wants to explore Goa beyond beaches and shacks, then I think this is a great idea to come here and cycle around here. There is a really picturesque village called Piedas, which is over here, and it has a 16th century church, and also one can see the old Goa church from this island. Besides that, this place also has the ruins of the Kadamba dynasty, and it had a Ganesh temple here. Also, this is another aspect which is speciality of Diwar, that is, there is this famous festival in Goa called as the Bonderam festival, which happens here. With that, I'll come to today's topic. Well, you might have heard about what is a kidney transplant or a dental implant, but have you ever heard about something like mind transplant or a thought implant? I doubt. So it just comes that when we have to deal with any psychological distress or any psychological illness, all that we have to rely upon, rather we have no other option but to rely on what the nature has already given us to deal with these with the best of the potential. And therefore, I would like to talk about some really unique quality of our human mind, which is called as dual nature of human mind. Now, I would go a little technical here. I'll take you 2.3 million years back, which is the time our forefathers lived, that is the prehistoric man lived. So, all that the people in the Stone Age era did, as we know, were eat, sleep, procreate and nurture their offsprings. So, at times they also had to run, hit or freeze as a response to any predator or a natural calamity. So, if we see what did the Stone Age people express in terms of emotions, there was something like anger, which was in order to fight the rival gangs, and then there was fear or anxiety, which was as a result of, rather it was expressed as a reaction to any predators who are coming to them or to get away from natural calamities, so flee from calamities. And third is depression, which one would get into and when one would freeze out of helplessness, when one can do nothing about, like the predator is right in front of you or you are caught in a calamity. So remember this as fight, flight and freeze. So anger made them fight, fear made them flee and depression led to freezing. So now these are the three emotions which we call, there are others as well like guilt, which we call as primitive emotions, and these are instinctual. Okay, these are instinctual and they are expressed as a reaction to any unpleasant or painful stimulus, and we have been doing this for the past 2 million years since the Stone Age era. Okay, now are these emotions, okay, so anger, fear and depression, all these emotions are something that has been hardwired in our software, that is the mind. So now next question will arise, which I will discuss, is that are these emotions really destructive or painful? Before I answer that, let me tell you that what do I mean by it is hardwired within us. It is like, I mean that it's like our basic default software. So it's no wonder that we need not be taught how to get angry, how to be worried and how to be depressed. It's because what is wired hard gets fired automatically. And in fact, it is the excess of these emotions because of which we invite illnesses like depression, anxiety or various anger control issues. So yeah, I was asking that are these emotions always very destructive or bad? Certainly not. In my previous videos, in fact, I had discussed that not all painful emotions can always be unhealthy to us. Okay, if rather they are expressed at the right time, for the right duration and at the right intensity, they can actually be one of our best aids for towards progress, because these are some of the protective mechanisms for that the nature has given us, okay, a defense mechanism. Why do you say that? Like for example, an anger, that is the healthy form of anger which is expressed by a soldier in a war zone, or anything by somebody who is expressed towards a colleague as a temporary strategy for a colleague who has wronged her. I don't think we should label it as an unhealthy form of anger. When it comes to anxiety, a little bit of anxiety is always good before any performance or an exam, so that it helps us stick to our plan and rather perform better, right? And the third form is depression. I mean, the grief that we go through when we lose someone very dear to us cannot be labeled as an unhealthy form of depression, right? So these are the three emotions: anger, fear and depression, which if expressed at the right in a right way, they can actually not be always destructive to us. Now what you'll ask me next is that, is this all the emotional machinery that we have, that is anger, fear, depression, that's it, in order to handle today's modern day challenges as a highly evolved human being? Answer is no, and that's a good thing. That's because unlike the Stone Age era, when the prehistoric man would merely run, hit or procreate, and which we saw some while back, we are faced with far more complex challenges, and therefore the nature has equipped us with a way refined and better machinery, that is a larger brain and a smarter mind. Now what is meant by smarter mind? By smarter mind, I mean that our ability to think, feel and act, the horizon of it has widened far more than what it used to be during Stone Age era. And therefore it has helped us to think, feel and act way more complexly in order to handle the modern day challenges, which are way bigger than mere survival, which was on the Stone Age era. Now I'll talk about what an eminent American psychologist has said here. His name was Albert Ellis. Okay, what he said was that our mind has two types of psychological tendencies. Okay, and these work in opposition to one another, and they pretty much decide how our mind works. That is how we think, feel, and act in any given situation. Right. So what he says is we have two tendencies. That is the self-defeating tendency, which he calls irrationality, and also there is something called as the self-enhancing tendency, which he calls rationality. Okay. Now what is meant by irrationality? Irrationality is all about thoughts like which are very absolute and rigid in nature. That is saying a lot of musts, that is I must get this, or he must do that, something like that, or saying a lot of can'ts, like I can't stand it, something like that. Okay, and emotions are quite painful emotions. These are like anxiety, anger, fear, depression, self-pity or something like that, and the behaviors therefore become self-defeating, and self-defeating behaviors include something like aggression, avoidance, procrastination, that is postponing, and also succumbing to addictions, right? So what is the rational? So mind you that any emotional misery or unhappiness, or not doing some important tasks of daily living, these are some of the things which take us away from happiness, according to Ellis. And what he says is that irrationality is the cause of most of the psychiatric illnesses that we have, like depression, anxiety or anger control issues. Now, what is the rational side? The rational side is something that takes us towards self-fulfillment and happiness. That's the one. So, what are the things involved in a rational side? It involves thoughts which are focused on the solution rather than the problem, and also it's focused on long-term achievement. Also, the emotions are way better regulated when one is using his rationality, and the behaviors are self-enhancing. Self-enhancing behaviors include something like goal setting, planning, resilience, compassion, and a lot more. Now, unfortunately, it is the irrational side of our human psyche which is far more strong and dominating than the rational side. We saw that why, and it's because of the 2 million years of the software which we have that is of fight, flight and freeze, which is so hardwired within us, right? Now the self-enhancing tendency, it requires the use of a recent software, and therefore it requires us to think rationally. Right? Now, why is it so difficult to use it then? That's the thing we are asked. Because obviously what is far more recent will be, tougher to follow and requires far more effort to practice, as it is least conditioned in our brain. However, for any modern day challenge or the current situation that we face anywhere, we have no option, or rather this is the best option to use, and for any modern day challenge, which helps us face the situations way better and far more efficiently, whether it can be dealing with difficult people or dealing with any failure in, say, business or something. So to summarize, we can say that if our thoughts are the cause of our problems, then they are also the solution to our problems. And that's what dual nature of human mind is all about. Now, if one wants to get rid of emotional miseries and engage in action that help one take one towards happiness or satisfaction and self-fulfillment, then we will have to increase the use of our rational faculties. And if we are able to practice them far more consistently in our day-to-day life, they will slowly start getting wired in our software. So I can surely say that you can rather take it from me that as and how you practice it more often in your day-to-day life, it will someday definitely become your basic or default software. That's all for today. See you next time, and if you have liked this video, please hit a like, share it, and please subscribe to my channel, The Goa Therapy.